Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. I know in the last episode I discussed, or I said that we're gonna add this view here to the list, but I think actually instead I'm going to cut the season here and start a whole new season where we'll actually kind of just start a new project and build the UI that we want to build from there. Um, so I just kind of wanted to wrap a few things up. Excuse me if you can hear that. My cats are going crazy. But I want to just wrap a few things up here with, in regards to the season, and this is actually one of them. As you can see on here, there's a little dialogue that pops up saying System UI isn't responding. I don't know if you've run into this or not yet. I've actually noticed it both in like my professional uh, development experience and personal. And now in this YouTube series, it's come up a few times, but it seems to be affecting Android 11 emulators. But essentially, like it's kind of annoying because, as it says here, the system UI isn't responding. So the little things like toast and snack bars won't come up. If you click close app, like sometimes the screen or the edges turn black and it's just not really great. And if you just hit wait, you can still do things, but like the system UI here being the back button, the home button, and like the all apps button, or trying to like drag down the notification tray, just simply don't work. And that's kind of annoying. Yeah, you can see it continue to pop up here. So actually what I've done a little bit to kind of mitigate this or to deal with it is if you click this X here to close your emulator, it'll save the state, and so then therefore if you start running it again, it'll actually kind of just be stuck in that pattern. So come over here to the AVD manager. This is the emulator that I was running, and you actually click this little drop down menu and you can say cold boot now. That'll relaunch it, and you can see here cold boot requested by the user, and then that will instead of basically like waking up the emulator, that'll kind of restart it a little bit, and then things seem to work for some unknown period of time, and then it will inevitably break again and say system UI isn't responding. So if you have run into that and it's been super frustrating, I apologize. I'm not really too sure where that's coming from. Maybe we can try, using a different emulator that's set to a different Android version. Maybe not 11, but 10 or 9 or something still recent, but not the most recent one, because there might be a bug in there. But yeah, I kind of deal with it for whatever reason. um, so I just kind of wanted to talk about what we've done so far here. I think we've covered a reasonable amount in this season about some pretty basic, pretty common, and then slightly more advanced UI elements, and I think we've gone into a pretty good uh, um, oh yeah, here it is. I think we've gone into a pretty good like discussion and description about different things, like whether it's layout, margin versus padding, some elevation. We've talked a pretty good amount about the constraints, and hopefully they make sense to you at this point. If not, I would strongly encourage you to either go back to other videos, or either drop a comment in asking for clarity on something, or do a little research on your own, just because we are going to be moving forward with the idea that you kind of understand how to stand on your own 2 feet when it comes to managing a constraint layout. Obviously I'm going to go through, and 99% if not 100% of the code you'll see me write on screen anyway. So we'll tackle it together, but just so that you're not lost, or so that if I skip over something because I'm just kind of believing in my mind that everyone should understand, if I want to put a view somewhere on the screen, that you just kind of set particular constraints and things work. As we approach new things and kind of tackle new areas of either layout or code, I'll obviously take time to introduce it appropriately and discuss it to whatever degree I feel necessary to, provide you at least the basic information so that you know what's going on. And I think I've done a reasonably good job with that so far. If not, definitely feel free to reach out. Definitely feel free to drop some comments or anything along those lines. It would go a long way to kind of let me know how I'm doing from your perspective. Um, but outside of just some simple layout stuff and the constraint layout, we have, I think this is maybe the eighth episode or seventh, eighth episode on the recycler view. We've kind of tackled a pretty good amount of it here, with the understanding of where it gets its name from, the whole idea of recycling, which we covered in the last video, the power that it actually has, and how to actually translate information. And in this case that we've done in this little sample over the last few episodes, a list of strings turns into um, a list of elements that we kind of don't really interact with, but you can scroll through and you can kind of see how how something can be presented in a recycler view. And in some of the earlier episodes, we touched on the different layout managers and how important some of them actually, or how important they are in general, meaning that you need to at least set one so that the system knows how to lay things out, and your views will come on screen. But we've I would say that we've covered a reasonable amount here, especially to kind of just get started. Hopefully you can kind of at this point have free reign over taking a look at an app and just looking at a screen and replicating that in code, in an XML file, in a view holder file, whatever you want to do. You can actually kind of build the UI, and usually that's actually pretty good practice, because you can kind of it makes you dissect what you believe the UI actually is, and then try replicating that inside of a layout file, and see how close you can get. I know we've talked about Instagram before, just because I'm assuming everyone either has an account or knows about the application. But it is a pretty good application to take some notes from, just because of its popularity and its diverse and rich UI that it provides in the various areas of the application. So you could always do something like that, and I think that we kind of have the tools to do that. So I'm pretty happy with how we're leaving the season off. And I think, like I said, I think I would just like to kind of start fresh, start from scratch. So maybe if, someone ends up coming in at this next season, they'll just, kind of miss the preliminary educational notes, but maybe just kind of see, building something in practice, which I do think is kind of just going to be a list of these cards, and we'll have our interaction. It's commented out now, but we'll have our interaction with some kind of a button to navigate the user, move them to a separate screen, maybe build out that separate screen a little bit differently, and and you know kind of go from there. So yeah, I mean, I think that's about it. I would like to thank you all for the support so far, and if you've been watching these videos in sequence, hopefully it is making sense. I'm going to try to keep to that and keep to our 7 to 20 minute time range, because I think that's just what makes the most sense for this kind of content. And I'm kind of excited to build a little bit more meaningful of a recycler view, build a little bit more meaningful of an application. And I do think that at that point we'll not only dive into a little bit more code, but we also might even dive into a couple third-party libraries. The first and most obvious one to me is some kind of image loading library, where instead of having to download the image itself and put this resource inside of our project, we could actually just load it over the internet from from a URL, which is an extremely common practice in the real world. So little things like that to expanding off of this recycler view, and then some little user interaction from screen to screen. We'll start to dive into other aspects of things about the Android system, and then maybe we'll dive a little bit deeper into like activity understanding and maybe fragments and stuff like that. But we have plenty more to cover. Don't worry about that. There will be, I'll try to take you through all of it and break it down to, what makes sense and kind of what you need to know to get by, and maybe a little bit more of an advanced understanding in certain ways. But, for now, I've been truly enjoying this, so I'm happy to keep going. I'm excited to kind of hit the refresh button a little bit here, and just, get a new project going and start something, just start building something new. So, without many other thoughts I have, I think I'm going to end it here, and I'll see you guys in the next season. Thanks.